story be? What did I just do? Oh my gosh, where did I put those? I don't know if this is anything you're interested in, but it's what needs to be done. So basically, I'm just kind of bringing you guys along as I'm doing my work on my urban farm. Hey, friend. It is almost the end of February 2026, and spring is coming. Days like today, when we're in the mid to high 50s, beautiful, sunny, gorgeous day. I need to be outside getting work done. If you're new around here, my name's Angela. I'm an urban farmer in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. And to be really honest, I just don't feel like doing this, but it needs to be done. What is it? It is putting together some trellises like the one you see. I think you can see it right back there going in between those two beds. I have 3 more of these that I'm going to put in between other beds. Quite frankly, it's not that it was more economical than cattle panels. I just feel like they're a little more attractive than cattle panels. And being in a city situation, I want things to look maybe a little more aesthetically pleasing than if I were just doing this out on the back 40 somewhere. And I just like for things to look nice. Now, I put that one together before. I am not honestly seeing any instructions. I've got letters on each of these packages, but that's it. So I can look at the other one there, I guess, to figure it out. Oh, it helps to look inside the box. Oh, and to not throw away the screws. Okay. It's pretty straightforward, as I recall. Let's get going. Got that. Is that? Nope. Oh, my Lord in heaven. This is what happens when you're not paying attention, folks. I gotta keep these separate. They're like the 2 end pieces. So I just kind of threw them in with these other ones. Only thing that distinguishes them is the main group has a hole on each end, and the ones that are at the base do not. Let's just chat for a minute here. When I did lives on TikTok, I would tell people this is story time with Grammie. I'm of Celtic descent, so I have the gift of gab, and I love to tell stories. My grandma was a master storyteller, and I learned so much about the world sitting at her table as a little kid, listening to her tell stories about growing up in the Depression, about being married to an alcoholic who was my grandfather, what it was like to have 5 kids from the age of 16 to 22. And I inherited that gift from her. So let's tell stories. This story is in 2015, we moved here from an apartment. There's actually a little bit of backstory, but for today, we moved here from an apartment, and in an apartment is where I really got the passion for growing food in small spaces. I saw what I could do just on a patio. I already felt like I had been called by God to do this and to teach other people how to do it as I was learning. I mean, I'm, still in the learning phases even now, almost 11 years later. I really had to surrender. I wanted acreage out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, who doesn't? This was even before everybody started doing all this stuff. But that was not conducive to my family's expectations of what life would look like. We still had 3 kids at home, all preteen, teenage, and to have them isolated in the middle of nowhere, starting to work jobs, that just wasn't going to happen. No one in my family wanted that except for me. And so I had to surrender that. And in the meantime, I'd always loved this little city in northern Kentucky, just across the Ohio River from Cincinnati. We started looking for places down here. We found this amazing deal on this place in 2015. This was just a backyard, very well kept backyard. The guy had probably put a lot of chemicals on the grass. But I just began the process of creating this little urban farm that I was told by God I needed to learn how to grow food, teach other people how to grow food. And there's a little bit more to it than that, but that was the primary emphasis and pertinent to this story. So over the last 11 years, with 1 year sabbatical, while I had 2 knee replacements in 2023, this is what we've created. And it's primarily me outside. When I need some big muscle, I do ask my son, who has a family of his own, or ask my husband. And I love it. But I get distracted from this by trying this capitalistic notion that I have to earn money or I'm not being productive. We are not rich people. We do not have vast resources. We've made some mistakes along the way, as everyone has, and we're doing the best we can. But you can tell we've never missed a meal, never had the lights shut off. I'm very grateful, very thankful for what we have been given, and I want to be a good steward of it. But I always feel this immense pressure to get completely out of debt and to just do better. In July of 2024, a extended relative started doing digital marketing, and I hopped into that. Spent an exorbitant amount of money to start doing it. I only sold 1 program, so technically I got that money back, but you spend money on setup and getting your name, getting your website, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it wasn't a lot more than that, but anyway, it was enough. But in the meantime, I learned how to make content. And the person who was in this, digital marketing tutorial program really emphasized that you should start over from scratch. Don't go on Facebook, don't go on Instagram or any place where you already are. Start fresh, keep your algorithm fresh. You're good, whatever niched. So she really encouraged people to go over on TikTok. I didn't fully comprehend what I was doing and I didn't do very well, but I did learn to go live. That's the whole reason for sharing this story. I was ready to give it up by the end of 2025. And then I was invited into the TikTok Shop program. And if you're not familiar with that, it's basically like QVC, but over on TikTok Shop. And you're making videos, but you can also go live. And in the meantime, I had bought another just little program from One Peak. I'll give them a shout out. I never even finished the program, but it was fairly inexpensive. And it taught me how to make better videos. So I started having companies, like maybe I didn't have the best sales, but I had a lot of companies that wanted to work with me because they wanted my videos. They make above average. And they're short videos, right? They are usually, 20 to 50 seconds. Rarely would you make a 1-minute video for something on TikTok Shop. And I also am very comfortable with going live. Okay, fast forward to summer of 2025. And I decided to start going live doing gardening. Absolutely loved it, but with the constraints of needing to use Wi-Fi, or else my phone would overheat in the summertime. Basically all I could do was when I got this microphone, I could keep everybody on the porch with my streaming phone, and I could go out in the yard and talk about like what was going on in the garden. And after, several months of that, it's like people are getting bored, me just talking about the same things over and over again. So it was more of a logistical constraint. But yet I persisted. have found companies along the way that would pay me just to make videos or would pay me to go live for them. And all of that was great and very helpful financially, but I still just wasn't really doing great at it. I mean, it was full time work and probably just under part time pay. Now, here's the tricky part: how to do the arch when you're by yourself. It's okay when you're just getting it started. It's when it gets that last piece is a booger. I think I did the middle the last time. I think I'll probably try to do the other side last this time, make it a little easier on myself. I have to say, I love making content. It is a gift. It's not any talent that I naturally possess. It is a gift. And I'm not afraid to be goofy on camera. That was something I didn't know about myself until I started doing this. So I started doing, after the first of the year, I started going live again on TikTok. Oh, I failed to mention, I stopped doing it in October because with trying to do all the processing inside, the preserving and things, it's too much. Like, I could not take 3 hours out of my day to do that, plus an hour to set up and tear down and, process the buckets and buckets of tomatoes that were coming in, which is pretty much all it was last year. Tomatoes and peppers. By fall, that's pretty much all that was left. Tried starting a little front porch farm stand. Again, always concerned about making money, right? I hope this isn't making you uncomfortable. It's just life, right? It's just the way life is. So I stopped in early October going live, did a bunch of things through the holidays, really didn't make the blowout kind of money like other people were claiming they did, and decided, you know what, let's just start going live again for the gardening stuff. Basically, we're starting seed. We're talking about, your plant lights and your heat mats and all those kind of things. So, just picture anything that you talk about or that you're watching videos for on YouTube. We were talking about that in our lives every day. I love it. I love it. You really get to know people and really build a community. But again, I started to feel overwhelmed. I wasn't making that much. If you're familiar with, how people go live and stuff, specifically over on TikTok, like, people can give you gifts, but at the rate or the level that I was at, like, I'm only getting 30% of that gift, Anyway, I'm not complaining. It was just, I needed to make money, right? And it wasn't coming in. Oh, wait, I need to pay attention. I forgot to put the next post on. Just really struggling, feeling overwhelmed. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's the same old story. And God just reminded me that every time I lose my way and I'm feeling overwhelmed, it's because I stray from the thing He told me all the way back in 2013 that I was going to do. And that's where we come back around to the backstory. 2013, I had a download. It's the only way I know. That's the only thing I know to call it. And the Holy Spirit told me I would have a place where I would grow food and I would teach other people how to grow food. And the weary traveler could come and put up their feet and be sturdier on their own two legs when they left. I think it was put up their feet, rest a while. And so I kind of saw how making content or going live was also a way to, like, let the weary traveler put up their feet for a little while. Okay, we're getting there. Gotta swing around a bit. So, all of that to say, I stopped going live. TikTok has gotten very restrictive and much harder to get any views, do any kind, like, I put a short up here on YouTube, and within an hour I could have 800 views. It might top out around 1,100, 1,200, sometimes 2,000, which I know is by no means, what the professionals are doing. But considering I would put the exact same edited in TikTok, the exact same video first, and in 3 days' time, I've only got 75 views on TikTok versus the 1,200 to 2,000 over here. So I'm like, Okay, I've gotten to know some people over on TikTok, but is this the best use of my time and energy? And so just finally decided after a year and a half to give myself a vacation from TikTok, but I did still post at least once a day. And just decided to let the Holy Spirit try to, speak to me and teach me what I was supposed to be doing and just like wait on Him. And I wasn't very disciplined about it, but I did still feel like I got the clarity of Him asking me, if money were not your primary focus, what would you be doing? And it was teach people to garden, grow food, and have a place where the weary traveler can put up their feet, be sturdier on their own two legs when they leave. And I have to admit, I have to be really honest here. We are not currently in a small group with a church or anything like we have been in the past when we had lots and lots of people coming through our homes, our apartment. We have done a few things with some neighbors. But pretty much they all just want to be left alone. Hi, how you doing? Little chit chat. Hey, I'm having a grandkid. Oh, you're having a grandkid too. That kind of stuff. That's just where everybody's at. And we don't have family nearby other than our adult kids. And I really don't want to pester them because they've got their own lives to live, right? This isn't woe is me. It's just the situation I'm in. So I'm trying once a month to have them over to keep the family connected, especially now. We're having grandkids or, for my girls, it's their nephews. And I don't really have a community that I can invite over to cook food for them and stuff, which is a love language of mine and something that, to be honest, validates me because I'm a good cook, probably guess. We are probably, as with most people, more isolated. I personally, more isolated than I've ever felt. And again, it's not woe is me, it's just the situation, the world we live in. So if this is where I can do long format content, I can teach people to grow food. I can grow food. Oh my gosh, this is much bigger than. And I can, build community. I want you guys to chat down there in the comments. Let me know what you're growing. Let me know. Or, I truly believe that everyone, I used to say this in my lives all the time. I truly believe that everyone can grow something somewhere. I don't care if you are in a high-rise apartment building and you don't even have a balcony. If you have a window or if you have the ability to buy a plant light, you can grow tomatoes inside. And I'm happy to teach you how to do that. You definitely can grow lettuce and herbs and those kind of things inside. So I want to be your cheerleader on this journey. And I want to show you how, if I can do this, you can do this. People ask me how long I've been doing it. Well, technically, off and on for 30 years, but up until 2013, I didn't know anything about soil health. And I was in the apartment, so I was just, buying potting mix. But then I built a wormery. We had a wormery in our apartment bedroom. If you don't know what a wormery is, you can drop in the chat and ask me. Okay, when you get to this last one, it's got a little bit of a bind here. There we go. If I can learn this stuff, so can you. So this is not about me doing everything and you just watching. I really want you to try the things that you see me doing because I tried them, first at some point too. And I'm not afraid to try new things in front of you. I'm perfectly comfortable with pointing out what the world would call failures. I always think of that Nicolas Cage movie, National Treasure, when he talks about Thomas Edison said he didn't fail how many ever hundreds of times or thousands of times in creating the light bulb. He learned that many times how not to make it. And that's how I feel about gardening. Every challenge is me learning how not to do it the next time. So now this is right here next to this bed. I'll show you a close-up in just a second. So I'm going to try to decide if I actually want to put it, I don't think I want to put it in the bed. Do I? Because I don't have this bed set up yet. It's over here, but this has all got to be cleaned out so I can get the new raised bed in. I can always come back and change it later. Ooh, we're not going in. Is the ground too hard? I'm going to have to go in the beds. Okay, well, there's that answer. See, you just kind of figure out things along the way, right? So let me get you turned here. Hopefully we don't get too much light. I am very thankful for the whole TikTok experience, and I'm still going to be over there. I'm still going to be making content, and I'm still going to be promoting products over there. And I'll tell you over here about some really great products along the way. And you can go over to my TikTok shop showcase and check it out and see if you're interested in it. If you're not, you are still absolutely welcome here. I have had to do this all on a dime, and God has been so faithful and good. And sometimes I have spent more than I should have. But really, what TikTok Shop ended up being was an incredible place for me to get free samples, like this bed. This raised bed is a $100 bed that I got as a sample so that I could promote it for a company. And in the meantime, I developed a relationship with the company representative, and he has since sent me another bed. Again, in exchange for making content. This I bought. This I bought because I can't remember if that one last year was a sample or not. This is the problem at this point. I've had so many free samples, I forget what was a sample and what I bought. But irregardless of whichever was the case, I really liked it and I wanted to do more. Who'd have thunk at, let's see, I'm 57, but starting at 56 years old, 55 really, when I started digital marketing, but at 56 years old, who would have thought that I would be brand new going onto TikTok, learning how to make content, and then also learning how to do this over on YouTube. And I've learned so many skills, met really incredible people all along the way. And here you are. And I hope you drop in the chat and say hi. And I hope you stick with me on these videos. They're not all going to be this long. This was just a little bit of introduction as to why I'm now coming over here. Is because if I'm not going to make any money over on TikTok, then who cares if I make money on YouTube, right? I will have some sponsors along the way. I will have some affiliate links I can share. Those will always be down in the description, different supplement companies and things. I actually have some affiliations that I'm going to remove because it's not products that I use. It was just an opportunity to try to make money. So I don't want to do that. I only want to promote products that I actually like and use. I hope you'll come back. I hope you'll hang out with me. I hope you subscribe. And I hope to see you again soon. See you later.